Hi, I'm Jeffrey Paul, and I'm here to share with you today a tutorial and an in-depth understanding of the cut-in, the most important final step of the construction, design, and customization of a hairpiece for your client, your guest. Understand a couple of things and you'll be a much better person technically wise. First of all, hand-tied hairpieces. Hand-tied. That means that a woman, called a ventilator, takes a very fine hook and she takes the hair and she hooks it like she would be hooking a rug. Yes, she goes in there and does a double knot, a half knot, a split knot. I've attached for you on this tutorial a series of knots and what they do and why they do it so that you at least know the kind of knot that you're dealing with. But I want you to really know that it's very small. And the knot is something you have to be attentive to and have to educate your guests to, because that's where hair thinning, hair tangling, hair messes come from. Okay, so look at that, read those little things that I've prepared for you in the knotting of a hair system. Number two, how do they knot it into the hair system is very important, because whether they leave a return of 4 inches like our quality goods demand in our Jeffrey Paul design series, or if they're trying to save money and get some length, they tie a 1-inch return. That means the hair, like in a shoe, when you tie it, you have sometimes a shorter end and a longer end. The shorter end on the hair tie is a representation of a return. A return is something that is really important for you to understand. The return is that down here, if there's 4 inches, that means from here down is 50% more hair. Yes, because look, down below the 4-inch mark, I have 50% more hair. So how I treat this and this in blending or thinning or even layering is very important to understand. Okay, so follow along with me. So now, in turn, they hand tie it, whether they use a 1-inch or a 4-inch. Ours are always 4-inch returns. The other methodology is injection. Injection, like in the 3D printing technology of Ragazzi, is where they actually inject it in and there's no returns. It's 100% that hair. But in turn, then you've got the French top, the French drawn top or part that we create in our full cranios and some of our top of the head that are injected in, tied, and then drawn back through. The short end is drawn back through and then sealed underneath so that there's no returns on the top area. But remember, that's not the whole head. It's generally just the top or the part. Jeff, why do I need all this information? Because when you see me work, when you see me lecture, when you see me do the things that I do, those are the processings of awareness before I even start to know what am I working with, examining the hair system in a quality control check. Not only is it the right color, but what about, is it absolutely been tied the way I'm expecting it to be tied, so that when I start to use the tools that I need to use, I know what I'm working on. Follow me? Number two, I want to teach you today what tools to use and what tools not to use, okay? Real important, real important. So let's take, for instance, we're going to go into this hairpiece, and this hairpiece has been hand-tied with 4-inch returns. And let's say that it's just a little thick. Well, the reason it's thick is because all those hairs that were tied have been hackled. Hackling is where they take out all of the shorter lengths. So this has been hackled so that all the hair is one length. Are you following me? All the other hair is used in shorter lengths or thrown away. So the hackle makes it all one length. So there's no longer what's happening in natural growing hair, which means I have 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago hair all in one head. So that creates a natural growth layer, and you need to put the growth layer into a hair system unless it's been virgin hair injected. And the only one that would be virgin hair injected, and the only one that can be virgin hair injected, is the 3D printed technology of the Ragazzi CNC. Why? Because there's no return, it's been injected, and they're using virgin hair, so they have the different growths that came right off the ponytail. Right off the woman's ponytail is in her hair, so she's got the different lengths many times. With that said, then when I go into here, let's say that I come in here and I want to take some bulk out. Well, if I remember, I need to take some bulk out of the base. So I take a blending shear and take a look at this. This is not what I want you using with the hack. Can you see that? See those hooks? Those nasty weapons? They hook the hair, they split the hair. They've got little V levels and hooks on them. And then there's those big chopper blending shears. You want one that's got even amount of space between the teeth. Ideally, no arc or very little arc in the blade, and you do not want two comb blades. You want a blade. Now, I have another attachment with this video tutorial showing you the right blades and the wrong blades and what each blade is used for, okay? But when you take that hair up, again, you would go into it in a 45-degree angle, and you would start approximately 2 inches away from the base, and at 45-degree angles, you would cut, lift it out, cut about another 6 months worth, and maybe, if it's a good head of hair, I may come up and cut another 6 months out. What did I do? I put growth lines and growth layers in this, and that gives it that natural flow. Look at this, that natural flow, can you see that? That natural flow to bounce into the hair and keep moving and not have chops in it. But if I don't realize what I'm doing and I'm cutting the length out of up here or cutting layers down here and I lay it down and I thin this out almost to where it's no longer a good design line, but I got this bump bulky in here, what's the problem? I didn't put the right layers, the growth layers in the lower level of the shaft where the returns are at, okay? So taking density out is most important. Ideally, would be perfect if a robot was making our hair pieces and the robot was able to be perfect and every density was perfect, but we're not. We're in the human business, handmade goods, that everything is by eye, and although there are guides, and although there are samples, and although there are parameters, everything is plus or minus 5% either way. And sometimes, if the ventilator's having a bad day with her husband or kids, she's having maybe a high level density day or a low density day. And that's the reality of life. You have to be the last step, the ultimate step. There's 39 steps that go into manufacturing. You are the 40th step that finalize, customize, and create the beautiful look for that woman, okay? So again, blending shear is to give the blending of the hair out. Let me take you through this, and I'll go to another tutorial with the razor. I'll go to another tutorial with cutting as well. But when you're using a blending shear, as I said, even teeth, sharp, if you're using these after 1 month of using them just regularly, not extensively, I have 4 to 6 of these at all times, ready to go. But you're always going in and you're never doing this. You're never cutting into that and sliding up the shaft because you're scraping the cuticle, okay? So again, if you're gonna come in here and take some density because you say this crown is just a little bit too much, Jeff, I need to get that crown density out, I would go in here and again, 45-degree angle, cut, release, come up 6 months, release, come up 6 months, and examine. Is it needed? Is it needed? If it doesn't need it, then don't do it. But in turn, cut it if it needs it at that point. Then comb that hair out, and you've got a nice bounce without bulk. That's one way. Now let's say that you're working with this and there is a bulk, there is a bump area throughout the shaft, or there's a wave pattern that you're fighting. You take your blade, watch this closely, you take your blade and you get it underneath there. Can you see that? I want you to be able to see that. I'm sliding my blade down and I am literally parallel. I'm right along like I'm going to shave with a razor that hair. I'm not going to cut it this way because I'm going to put a mark in it. I'm going to actually put a layer line into it. I want it almost absolutely plumb to the hair. And as I close it, I come down 6 months, I close it and close it, come out, and I've taken that bump right out. And you can do that any place. Okay, one more time. Again, I slide my hair, so let's say that right here there's a bump, there's a bulk, it's kind of giving her the, what is this called, the McDonald look, the McDonald's man look that's just bulky on the sides. I simply come in here, right above the bulk point, above the wave, like if you're a surfer, you get ahead of the wave, and you close and moving. I'm moving and close and moving and close and moving. And then comb it out. Take a look. Always take a look. Take a look and see what you see before you go there. Okay, the last thing I want to show you today for this particular segment, we'll be back for more, is that I want to talk to you about the hairline. What a important level of cut-in, okay? Again, the cutting of the hairline is so important, and with a woman, if that's falling in her face, you have a very unhappy woman. And then she's complaining about a beautiful hairpiece, but she's not complaining about the hairpiece. She's complaining about the cut. Maybe the density that was put in, but you can reduce the density. You can come in and you can do one of two things. You can go behind the hairline and you can go right to that base. Can you see that? I want to be sure you can. Let me turn it for you. And you put that blade right at the base, right at the base. I am flush against that base. I'm not up in the air, I'm flush. And I simply go along the line and I take one cut only with about 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch of the shear. And I work down, but I see it. If I see that it needs it, I do it. If I see that that ventilator gave what I wanted, I don't do it. So as you're working across the sections, you're not taking it all out at the same time. You're taking it out as you need to. What you see is heavy. And heaviness means when you're looking at the density, that again, that needs some density out, this needs some density out. Do not lift it, don't draw it out like this. You're stripping the cuticle and you have a mess of a head of hair when you're done. The other way is when you come to this front, you may want to put some baby hairs in the front. Let's say that her weight is falling. So again, I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna cut down below that inch line that I was doing every place else. I'm gonna get that 45-degree angle. You see it, the 45-degree angle, and I'm gonna give my growth lines again. My growth lines, my growth lines, my growth lines, my growth lines, and I take a look at how much weight I've taken out, and will it stay away from her face? And by the reason I go that extra little inch and go down to the inch is because I want some of those baby hairs to kind of give me lift, give me a springboard for that hair to stay away from it. And you can do this sectioning the front off and do it all through the frontal plate. The frontal plate being, and we'll talk about the sections as well in another video, but the sections of the front is a pie shape, and it goes from temple to temple to the 3-inch mark in the back of the head approximately. Everybody's head's a little different. And you pie that off and then section it from the part area or the break area. And you're working with it so that you have 1/4 inch sections and you work back, and you can either work on the growth level of the growth layers, or you can get in there and take some of the density out, but that front has to be out of her face. Don't cut it shorter, because if you've already cut the design line, she wants what you've given her, she's happy with you, but don't go beyond. And always, this is an important element. Listen to me. Keep stopping and looking. While you're working, look, read. You should be exhausted after you're cutting. Get paid good for your time, but you should be in no rush. You should be an artist at his palette or her palette and working your masterpiece into form. Please be that conscious and aware of what it means. It doesn't mean just cut the hair into a section. It doesn't mean just make it look pretty with a bunch of curling irons and flat irons, put a bunch of product on it. This hair system, if it's great, it's like a great haircut. It'll look great every day thereafter until they come back to see you to make it look good again. But in turn, it all comes by using the right tools, the right products, the right brushes, the right hair, and the right knowledge of why you're doing what you're doing. So if you're working with me in a boot camp or you're working with me in a training, here's what I'm gonna ask you every few minutes, maybe every 10 minutes. Why are you doing what you're doing? What are you doing? And again, why are you doing it? So if you said to me, Jeff, and I came to you and I said, what are you doing right now? I'm taking some density out. Where are you doing that at? I'm doing that right here on the top. Why are you doing it? Because it's starting to lift and it's kind of giving me a problem. Well, how are you going to do it? I'm going to take some of the density out of the base. Why? Because I see that the base density is thicker in this area than the other areas. Good answer. If you're up in here and cutting this out, and you say to me, I really see that this is pretty even all through the base, but there's some bulk areas in this hair I want to take out. I'm going to put some growth lines in. Those are the kind of conscious awareness that happens not when you're talking social, not when you're talking friendship and all the things that a doctor would never talk to you about. There's a moment for social, there's a moment for consultation, there's a moment for focus and concentration of prepping and getting her ready with the hair on her head. And then Michelangelo, Picasso, Monet, the famous artists of the world, stopped the world to truly do a masterpiece. And every work that you do should be a masterpiece, not just another job, not just another cut-in. I hope this helps you. Let me know. Remember, I've got some attachments here for you that'll help you know about knotting and the right tools to use. And I will continue to share with you the techniques that has given me the success after 40 years of being in the industry of doing, I don't know how many, but lots of cut-ins. But it isn't a blueprint that everybody is a cookie cutter the same. That's why I'm teaching you technique and technology. Technique and technology, and you put them together for the need of your masterpiece on that guest that you're working on. Have a beautiful day, and remember, beauty and change begins within, and so does your cut-in. Inside, you need to see that beautiful look before you start. Have a wonderful day. Hi, Jeffrey Paul here, and I've got some exciting news I want to share with you. I'm just finishing up right now. I'm in the studio, in fact, if you can see behind me, in doing a 4-series video training that I'm providing for you for free. And it's the basis of building your hair thinning and hair loss business and the psychology and art of consultation. I am really very excited to share all of this with you. And as I said, this 4-series is free. Wait a minute, if that's not enough, I'm a bonus guy. I'm also going to be doing a wrap-up on a complete webinar rolled out over the next series of weeks, but you need to sign up and be a part of the private Facebook group where it's all going to be happening. It's going to be exciting with people from all over the world because each time we've done something like this, it's really brought in an incredible group. But this is about you and the impact you can have on people who are losing their hair is thinning, their frustrations, their low self-esteem is all being impactful in their character and their life. So I want to share with you the 4 pillars and the formula that has been successful for me in 35 years of practice and has helped hundreds and hundreds of people that I've trained to work into their careers of hair loss specialists. So please join me by simply going down below and clicking, and we'll be sending you a notice to join us on our Facebook group, and you will be absolutely, I promise, educated, inspired, motivated, and empowered for your career and your success. Again, I'm Jeffrey Paul, and remember, beauty and change begins within.